the second NHL lockout in the last decade looking likely, hockey fans may have to settle with getting their kicks on the virtual ice instead. While the real thing may be put on pause, EA Sports is trying to put its puck simulation on fast forward with NHL 13.
This has been a game where everybody's had something to cheer about. This has been a really fine game to watch.
Gary, I think it's going to be a good battle. I mean, these teams like to go at one another. Now, let's fasten our seatbelts and get ready to go.
The NHL franchise has been building its arsenal of modes and options for decades now, and it's been another busy offseason. GM Connected allows hundreds of players to join a single online league and play from every conceivable role. Players are mixed up and moved to different teams like a fantasy league, and trying to piece together a winner can become an obsession. You can play as a GM, control the on-ice action, or just coach it. Organizing online time with so many players can be a challenge, but the deep customization and sim options keep it from bogging down. Unfortunately, the same thing can't be said about the sluggish interface that borders on unusable. It's a fixable blemish on an otherwise well-executed option.
This is a playoff shutout opportunity.
The other new mode is NHL Moments Live, where you try to either replicate or alter a prior scenario from NHL history. The game comes loaded with tons of classic situations, and more will be added live provided the upcoming NHL season actually happens. It's appeared in other sports games, and it remains just as compelling here.
Shot! And a game winner!
This review would have to be 20 minutes long to mention all the changes to the classic modes. The card-driven fantasy league dubbed Hockey Ultimate Team returns along with Be a GM, Pro, or Legend, which are sprinkled with light RPG elements. Then there are single seasons, tournaments, and so much more. Each of these perennials has received scores of needed tweaks to simulation, CPU logic, usability, and flexibility. It's no stretch to say NHL 13 is the most full-featured sports game ever. Whether you're one of 750 players in a single online league, collecting cards to build your ultimate team, taking on a friend, or just trying to win the Stanley Cup, it'll put your spare time on ice.
Lord Stanley's hardware is out to be awarded.
No one was complaining about the gameplay in prior releases, but NHL 13 is brave as it completely blows up its fundamentals with true performance skating. Much like FIFA and Madden before it, canned animations are replaced with real physics that work right down to each skate blade. You can feel it in the top speed of each player, but it's even more obvious when trying to change direction or pirouette out of a sprint down the ice. It affects every movement in the game, but not all for the better.
Takes the shot, save, and a great one.
Making subtle adjustments to defensive position is hard to get used to, and you can sometimes check a player to the ice, and they'll still have enough time to get back up and retake possession of the puck. The addition of an extra burst makes some top-line players feel almost unfairly quick. It's an auspicious debut, but it still needs some tweaking.
Stand by for a lot more of those kind of hits. These two teams don't like one another.
Last year's game was plagued by glitch shots and unstoppable wraparounds. These plays have been eliminated by the new adaptive goalie AI, but when playing against the computer, your best plays rarely result in goals. Scoring takes some time to learn, and it sometimes feels like you're getting rewarded for the wrong things.
You just shake your head going, how'd he make that save?
The other drawback to the new skating engine is that checking hasn't been fully integrated into it yet. You can sometimes blast another player at full speed and bounce off, while other times you'll hardly make contact and send an opposing player sprawling across the ice. Much like scoring, it could do better at giving results for the right actions. New additions aside, NHL 13's controls are about as complicated and deep as they come. Every button on the controller is used for something, and many of them have a modifier. The level of control you have borders on obsessive. From board play to blocking shots to taking the puck away, there are many means to an end. While the changes to skating and goalie AI show a lot of potential, it's still the depth of play that serves NHL 13 best.
This is magnificent, and still the save is made. And this one remains scoreless.
Improvements in presentation are subtle. NHL 13 looks nearly identical to NHL 12 on a technical level, but like any great sports game, the more you play, the more you notice the changes. Faces are still way off most of the time, but there are hundreds of little animations buried in its code that are fun to uncover as you play. For the first time, between play segments stay inside the game engine, allowing for a new broadcast-style presentation that you'll quickly learn to skip.
With Bill Clement, I'm Gary Thorne for tonight's game between the Kings and the Tampa Bay Lightning.
The audio is great once again, as you can hear individual fans offering pep talks, and the arena mix provides a deafening din when things heat up. The sound of the puck going around the boards passing across a 5.1 setup will send shivers down a puckhead's spine. We're big Gary Thorne fans, but the commentary is far too general and scores low in situational awareness.
And that's going to do it. I'm Gary Thorne on behalf of Bill Clement. We thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you the next time up.
All things must evolve, or they eventually die, and NHL 13 recognizes this. Reconstructing the skating and goaltending succeeds at making the game more realistic, but not necessarily more rewarding. Still, these changes will pay huge dividends down the road. The new GM-connected option provides just about as much flexibility in playing a sports game as we've seen, and there are more than enough ways to keep your mind off the looming lockout. While not the full stride forward it could be, NHL 13 signals the beginning of the series' evolution.
And finally, for players in the National Hockey League, the one time where they can touch the cup.